Residents, board, colleagues, let's get started.
Oh, baby, it's 9 o'clock. I don't know, but it's time to go.
Ready, board? Mr. Evans? I'd like to call to order our regular city council meeting. The date is November 20th and the time is 9:07 p.m. Residents, we're starting the meeting. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor Ronnie Felder. Chairperson Douglas Lawson.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Chadwick McCoy. Councilperson Kashaba Miller Anderson.
Present.
Councilperson Shirley Lanier.
Here.
Councilperson Glenn Spiritus. City Manager Jonathan Evans. Acting City Clerk Deborah McCullen is present. City Attorney Don Nguyen.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you. If we can have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Lanier.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions, deletions, substitutions to the agenda?
None from staff, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Disclosures from the board? Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier.
Yes.
Vice Chair McCoy.
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus.
Yes.
Chair Lawson.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Consent agenda. All matters listed under this item are considered. Councilman McCoy.
Are we gonna do additions and deletions?
We did.
No, I thought we voted to adopt the agenda.
We did that before. Adoption.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask this, and I apologize if I missed it. I was entertaining my good friend Erica Davis back there, having a wonderful discussion. But board member Spiritus had concerns regarding, actually wrong agenda, regarding the rules and regulations and policy regarding the parking rates on 11A, and I need to, well, I guess I wanted to ask the board, is that something that we need to take out? I mean, that we need to take up, or can that be moved to consent? Or do you prefer that we have some dialogue on that, Commissioner Spiritus?
Chair?
You recognize?
Yes, I can't support any parking regulations or hiring any firms unless I'm convinced that the residents are going to receive substantial discounts and employees receive substantial discounts in the parking areas.
So you're against me putting it on consent, is what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, no problem, sir. Thank you.
So we'll have that discussion in the same position. There's no separate discussion on motion items on consent. In the event an item wants to be removed from consent of the order of business, please address. Anyone want to move an item? Motion to adopt consent?
So moved.
Yeah, I want to pull 3B.
Thank you, sir. 3B. Motion been made to adopt consent with 3B being pulled. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and probably seconded. Do we have any public comment cards, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on consent.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier? Chair Pro Tem McCoy?
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus?
Yes.
Chair Lawson?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you. 3B?
Item 3B, resolution number 155-24, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing payment to Universal Security Guard Association, Inc. of Delray Beach, Florida, to provide armed and unarmed security services on an emergency basis in an amount not to exceed $200,000, and authorizing the Director of Finance and Administrative Services to make payments from account number 101-301-01-552000 and providing an effective date. Mr. Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item.
Motion to
So
adopt?
moved.
Motion to adopt? Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Mr. Chair and members of the board, if I can turn this presentation over to the Public Works Director, Mr. Roberto Treviso, and he'll be accompanied by Procurement Director, Ms. Ammons, to address any questions the board may have.
Thanks, sir.
Chair, if I may.
You recognize.
Thank you. Roberto Travieso for the record, Director of Public Works, and
Latanya Ammons, Director of Procurement.
all right, and Chair, members of the council, and Honorable Mayor, the resolution 15524 is seeking approval from City Council for funding in amount of $200,000 to allow us to continue to provide security services at city facilities, with the exclusion of the utility special district facility, in order to complete the procurement process that was directed by City Council previously, which required the publication of a request for proposals for qualified vendors to provide the security services. As you may recall, the city has been, since December 16th of 2023, operating under emergency procurement for the services, and the accompanying resolution on this item would allow us to continue to provide the services, which are critical while we complete the evaluation of these responses to the RFP, which closed yesterday. And we expect to be able to bring a recommendation to the City Council in early 2025 for a qualified vendor to provide the services going forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Councilman McCoy, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Treviso, Ms. Ammons, why is this here before us today?
Chair, if I may.
You recognize.
The board had requested, last time we brought a award recommendation, that we republish the solicitation as an RFP, and we have conducted that solicitation, which concluded yesterday. The purpose of this item is for us to allow for the procurement process to be completed in order to be able to make a recommendation to the board regarding who would potentially be allowed to provide those services going forward. So we're asking for additional funding. You may recall that the board moved and approved $150,000 in funding previously for that same purpose. Those fundings are projected to run out before the end of this calendar year. So in order for us to, again, complete this procurement process and also continue to provide for security at our facilities, we're bringing this item for your consideration.
Sure, follow up.
You recognize.
Thank you. Mr. Treviso, that's actually not the answer I was looking for. The procurement code 16.5 of of the City of Riviera Beach Municipal Code of Ordinances provide that any solicitation that is above 50,000 is competitively solicited. Are you familiar with that, sir?
Chair, if I may.
You recognize?
I am, sir.
Okay. So if that's true, this hasn't been competitively solicited, correct?
Chair, if I may.
You recognize?
That's correct, sir. We are still operating under the emergency procurement that secured the services back in December of
Thank
last
you.
year.
Thank you. Follow-up, Chair.
You recognize?
If we're operating under emergency, and I've said this before, why is this before the board? Because if you are really truly operating under emergency, you don't need city council approval. So you're sitting here asking me to bless something that you already inherently, as an emergency, have the authority to do it. And I'm not sure why you want us to vote on something that you're clear that you say is declared an emergency, if under the 16.5, which is our procurement code, you already inherently have that authority to execute that. And I don't want to continue to bless mess. If you have the ability to do it, don't come in here and get me and my colleagues to vote on something that is inherently, if it's truly an emergency. And that's why I'm starting to question this is not an emergency, because this has been exactly 11 months in 3 weeks, 11 months, 2 weeks, just shy of a whole entire year, and you're still saying that this is an emergency. I know we went back and forth a couple times, but if this was really truly an emergency, you guys should have done it, and there should have been a justification, and it should have been inside the contract file. But this shouldn't be before us. It's not proper before us. And I said the same exact thing the last time, and I know I'm not able to remember everything, but I'm going to ask our attorney, because I don't want to vote on this. In fact, it's not proper for us to vote on this. It's illegal for us to vote on it. But the procurement director, with notes in the file, referencing that this is an emergency, is sufficient. Ms. Wynn, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you familiar with this, Ms. Wynn?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so did this have to come before the board for us to deliberate on it if it's truly an emergency expenditure?
I think it has to. Under the emergency procurement section of the code, the city manager as a designee can make emergency procurements when there exists a threat to public health, safety, or welfare. And I don't believe that, I think this is janitorial, correct, that this falls within that. It does not fall within that, and that's why it's before you.
This is not janitorial, Ms. Wynn. This is
Security,
and,
right, but
and they specifically called out that it's a threat to public safety. So that's what it's called out in the backup. So I think you just
Okay.
proved exactly what I'm saying.
and you're correct, yes.
So
If
I'm
it's in
going
the
to move that.
backup,
Pardon me?
I'm sorry. I was going to say, if that is in the backup, and staff has placed that there's a threat to public health, safety, or welfare, then it is a service that does not need to come before you.
I move to delete this item from the agenda, and staff can handle this administratively.
Chair, if I may.
You recognize, ma'am?
I believe.
I got a
that-
motion on the floor, Chair. And then if you get a second, then we can go to discussion.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and to the board. So I guess I'm gonna just have a comment and then ask a question. I believe the last time I was sitting here with this particular agenda, I was asked under what authority would this be, could we award the extension of the contract? And I stated whatever authority we awarded the previous resolutions. Also, if I recall, when the emergency procurement was read, Councilman McCoy indicated that the paperwork did not state that it was an emergency and that the paperwork wasn't sufficient. I apologize and took ownership of that and put that in this particular documentation because in trying to make sure that we dotted our I's and crossed our T's. But if I recall as well, the previous solicitation was not awarded
there was an issue back in August. And so again, it was brought back before the board just to continue. So in an effort to have that transparency of how you awarded it the first time, we said we would have the solicitation. We came back with a new resolution to continue the money. We're just trying to follow it along until the very end. The solicitation did close on the 19th, and we have approximately 19 vendors that we're going to that have to be their packages have to be evaluated. So the solicitation closed. We will come before the board and we will have a recommendation. I guess my question is, if it's not an emergency, then, and if I don't have a successful solicitation, then what method of procurement would be acceptable to come back in January to continue with the vendor that we have, right? It's not necessarily a question to be answered tonight and for you all, but that is why we're here. It was initially awarded as an emergency because it was. The solicitations were, the vendor was not selected. We went back out for award. So if I can come back in January, and if it's not awarded, then will we have the authority to, you know what I'm saying, grant from, how do we continue to move on? And thus, this is why the word emergency was used, because we have in all of the other solicitations. And again, just trying to have that the consistent approach with this particular topic, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's my concern and question.
Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Ammons. You're recognized.
Right, wrong, or different, guess what? You're wrong. And because there's no transparent, you keep talking about transparency. You're asking me to vote on something that we're not legally required to do, that you have the authority to do. Like, that is burdensome on us. Like, to sit here and go through this when you have the authority to do something and you said you want transparency, it's already legal and allowed for you to do this. And our code says you justify and you put it in the contract file. But to have us and every other department head to bring things that are ministerial in nature to us keeps us in these meetings to 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I really trust that you're a consummate professional, that you can justify with Mr. Roberto Treviso that we need security and these fine men and women that we have, screening folks coming in and out of the building. But that's your role already. I don't want to have to get involved with that.
Okay.
I mean, perhaps next time when you need office supplies, won't you bring that to the city council and let's order us some very nice pen and some stationery. I mean, it might as well at this point, because if it's truly an emergency, I agree it is, let's take care of it administratively.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There's no comments from the board.
Chair,
You're recognized.
I'd like to say, I think I understand Mrs. Ammons' direction or intent. Mr. McCoy badgers these department directors, saying that you didn't show it to us, you didn't give it to us, we had no knowledge of it. So I'm assuming she's saying, well, for the sake of making sure we're transparent, let me bring this as well. So what happens is that when you interfere with departments, department heads, when you interfere and you don't let people do their job, then they say to themselves, I better bring it all here because I might get some backlash from it. So I can see her point. And also, too, we're not in a meeting because of them. We're in a meeting because of you, Mr. McCoy. You are the one that continues the discussion way past the point where the horse is dead. So you can't put that on the department heads or on us. So I would suggest that, the department heads, whatever you feel uncomfortable doing, whatever you feel like you need to bring to the board, you should bring it.
Well, Chair.
Thank you. Councilman McCoy, you're recognized.
Okay, so really, I think we're at the point of making some board action. Ms. Nguyen agreed that this is not legally required to be here. So I don't know why we seem to have to waste our time on ministerial items. And of course, I don't want to sit up here and vote on things that they can take care of. And if folks have a problem with that, then oh well, but that's not our role. So if anything, they're injecting us into things that we shouldn't be in because they have the charter, they have their code provisions, and perhaps they need a lesson on how to do that. So,
Chair, call the question.
Madam Clerk?
What are we voting on?
We're voting
Chair, I'm
on
sorry.
deleting the item.
Deleting the item.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
No. I can't hear I can't hear her.
Councilperson
clerk.
Lanier,
No.
Chair Pro Tem McCoy,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
No.
Councilperson Spiritus,
Yes.
Chair Lawson.
No.
That fails with Councilpersons Lanier, Councilperson Miller Anderson, and Chair Lawson dissenting.
Resolution 104-24. Do we have a motion to adopt? I'm sorry, Resolution 3B. It is actually Resolution 155-24. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Now, I'm actually gonna, before I vote, the reason I voted no on that is because I agree with my colleague. If staff is going to take the time to prepare and do this information and bring it back before the board because of the banter by some of my colleagues, I'm going to respect them to go ahead and vote on it, even if they believe that it could have been taken care of outside of the council. The reason we have our agenda reviews is so we can have these discussions so that we have a common knowledge, common goal, and work together so that publicly it's not a spectacle or display just to try to prove a point or call someone out. If we truly believe that there was an issue with this item, we could have discussed an agenda review. Staff could address the same way. And I understand your comment is that's not your job, but also it's not your job to publicly bash and belittle the staff. So we're going to continue to move forward with decorum and respect. Let's do that as a team. So these public antics and displays and theatrics is dead. Let's move forward. So do we have any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, you're recognized.
I just want to say that I appreciate what the staff is doing, but I just want to follow the rules and regulations that govern this body, and I do believe that it is a ministerial act. I have no objection to the transparency and to the work that the staff is doing.
And I agree with that, and it is ministerial. Then honestly, Board Member McCoy is 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, accurate and correct. And he doesn't feel like he should have to do your job. So Attorney Nguyen and Ms. Ammons, if this is an item or something that needs to be addressed outside of the board, don't waste our time. But to the same time, this could have been done within a 30-minute agenda review. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and pass this vote to move it forward, but let's not waste the council, the boards, or the residents' time. Additional comments?
Yes.
You're
Ms.
recognized.
Nguyen. Ms. Nguyen,
Yes, sir.
assuming this item passed, this resolution passes, and there's an action to invalidate this action, there's a legal action to invalidate it, what does that mean? Staff proceeds either way, right?
Well, first of all, Mr. McCoy, just to clarify, the emergency procurement section in the code says that staff may. So it's not that staff can do it ministerially, or they can bring it to council, and they chose, based on Ms. Ammons' explanation, to bring it to council.
So my question that I asked, do you have a response?
Can you repeat it, please?
Oh, okay. So I said, if this was invalidated, then they would still have the authority to do it. If this didn't pass, they would still have the ability to go forth with it anyways, correct?
Yes. It was
Okay.
the same as you deleting it with the motion. If you had had the motion to delete been successful, they would have gone to and done it ministerially or departmentally,
Okay,
administratively, I guess.
okay.
Additional comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem McCoy,
No.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus, Chairperson Lawson.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
couldn't hear Mr. Spiritus.
He said yes.
Microphones
still
are-
can't hear
They're
him.
going in and out, Ms. Nguyen. I'm sorry, Ms. Miller Anderson, the microphones are going in and out. Pull it out.
But he has it tilted down too.
He voted yes, Mrs. Miller Anderson.
Thank you.
And that item passes with Chair Pro Tem McCoy dissenting.
Public comments. Public comments shall begin at 7:30 unless there's no further business of City Council in the event at which it will begin sooner. In addition, if items being considered at 7:30, then comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Please be reminded the City Council Board has adopted rules of decorum governing public comment during official meetings, which is posted at the front desk. In an effort to preserve order, if the rules are not adhered to, City Council Board Chair may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, or the building. Please govern yourselves accordingly.
Mr. Chair, we have 8 public comment cards. The acceptance of the cards is now closed. The first speakers are Michael Jordan, Tracy Lynn, Dr. Philip Dukes, and Deborah Houghton.
Hello, council. I'm gonna just get right to business. First of all, I know we don't like the report that came out on the 14th. We gotta stop looking negative in the press. And I know that we have times that we have to fix things. Okay, so, my recommendation is, that we have to enhance the record keeping internally. We have to have ongoing internal monitoring over the processes and systems that we have in place. So these type of things don't happen. Okay, and I would also like to say, if we have employees not doing what they're supposed to do, we know that your job as a council is to legislate, and then management is supposed to take care of everything else. Now, my advice and recommendation to Mr. Evans, with the authority that he holds, if you have people that's working under you not doing what they're supposed to do, that exercise your authority and get somebody in here that will do what you need to do, so you won't take the heat alone. Okay, now, we know within the past 12 months, we had 4 open investigations, okay, that displays that, like they said in the interview, that the residents of the city may be put at risk. My understanding, we're not being put at risk. We're already at risk with the situation with the water. To me, it's another Flint, Michigan crisis. And I don't care who don't agree. I'm just telling you what it is. It's been here for so long. And every time we go around, we got to meet about this, meet about that. Ain't no sense in meeting if we're not having progress. You know what I'm saying? It's a waste of taxpayers' dollars, your time and my time. You know what I'm saying? We have to do something. Come and let us reason together and move forward so we are all on one page. It don't matter if you don't like this person, if you don't like that person. Sometimes you come in here, the tension is so thick amongst the staff people, you can cut it with your finger. It shouldn't be that way. We're already looking negative in the eyes of the public. We got to do something because our reputation is already stained. You know what I'm saying? And we'll have to correct that. So I think this is something we should move on quickly concerning this water. Everybody got to take charge. Everybody, in my eyesight, is accountable. Not just Mr. Evans by himself. Everybody, if we keep coming backwards and forth and no progress is being made. So like I'm already saying, this city is a great place to work, live, and play. But with the situation that we're in right now, I can't agree that this is the best place to work, live, and play, if you ask me. Because first of all, your reputation is what's going to draw the people. Okay, so handling business has to be a lot better. Okay, the internal policies with the way staff work and the management of authority and the exercising of authority has to be better also. And my last thing that I want to say, we need to remove acting intern from behind Miss Deborah name. It's been going on too long. It's been going on as long as the water crisis. So I hope y'all get that together.
Thank you for your comments.
The next speaker is Tracy Lynn, Dr. Philip Dukes, Deborah Houghton, and Cindy March.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Lynn. I live at 4112 74th Street North in Palm Lake Estates. We've lived there for nearly 30 years. It's a gated community with security, and I had motion lights and a ring camera that were stolen. Beginning in 2022, squatters repeatedly broke in my home and completely destroyed it. They gained entry by climbing the wall from Super 8 at 4112 West Blue Heron Boulevard. Police were repeatedly called. Once when I came home, I unlocked my front door to find a strange man lying on my couch and 2 others in my bedroom wearing my clothes. I had to file an unlawful detainer to have them legally removed. Super 8 has a serious problem with drug activity, prostitution, and vagrants. When people are out of money for drugs and rooms, some climb the wall and break into our homes. Super 8 is a nuisance property. Its truck stop creates incessant noise and carcinogenic diesel fumes. I'm a cancer survivor. Trucks often idle there 24/7 for days at a time and are not renting motel rooms. The noise makes our homes vibrate and creates a health hazard that's well documented, causing stress, cardiac, and serious health issues. We have no peaceful habitation. Ordinance Section 11173 states noise disturbances are prohibited. It shall be unlawful for any person to make, continue, or cause to be made or continued any excessive, unnecessary, or unusually loud noise, or any noise which either annoys, disturbs, injures, or endangers the comfort, repose, health, peace, or safety of other persons within the boundaries of the city or adjoining neighbors of the surrounding municipalities. Super 8 has also allowed helicopters to land in the truck parking lot at least 2 times that I saw. Squatters stole all of my clothes, food, luggage, coin collection, my antique Bible, all gone. Washer and dryer broken, burn holes, drug paraphernalia, broken glass, carpets destroyed. They left me with bed bugs, rats, and roaches. Truckers have maintenance work done on engines and are offloading cargo to U-Haul trucks 24/7. I'm asking for 3 main things. I have contacted many Riviera Beach personnel, getting little help. Number 1, the immediate cooperation of code enforcement. Code Officer John Johnson came out and told me he didn't know how I could file a complaint. Yet his shirt said field supervisor. No action has been taken with no decibel readings or help. Number 2, determine if the truck parking, noise, and helicopter landings are unpermitted use. If permitted, who approved it and how can we reverse it? Number 3, Super 8 is a nuisance property. It's a danger to the 55+ community beside it and a safety issue for unknowing tourists. Make it stop. Apply the codes or shut them down for the safety of the community. If I could just say, ask Riviera Beach to work with Super 8 to end the criminal activities.
We will have somebody that's going to meet with you, ma'am. I believe one of our assistant chiefs in the back.
Please, thank you.
A major, thank you.
The next speaker is Dr. Philip Dukes. Deborah Houghton.
Andrea, he left. Miss Deborah.
Dr. Dukes left? Okay. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Chair. My name is Deborah. Some of you know me as Mama D's Calabash. The reason I'm here today is to ask why, or not why, but how can we change Section 10-264, operation requirement? A mobile vendor may operate only during business hours on primary business on the property. I receive an opportunity to work 11 to 7, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning on private property of owners who own gas stations. Light, electric, everything is there. I don't understand why I cannot do that job. I would like to know what can be done that I can work 11 to 7. A lot of people go to work 11 to 7 in other places. When I'm called to go to a club and I stay there till morning time or till 4 or 5 in the morning, it's okay for me to do that at a club, but why I can't do that at a gas station? So I'd like to ask, is there any way anything can be done for me to be able to work 11 to 7 with my food truck? I got everything done with the city. I fill out all the documents. I got it notarized, a letter from the owner giving me permission to come to his gas station to work a couple of nights a week. So I'd like to know, can I do that? Because when I went to the city to turn this paperwork in, that's when they informed me that I can't work after 7 p.m.
Someone will comment, the city manager will comment on all the items at the end. At the end of public comments, he'll address all the items.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Thank you, Mama.
Next is Cindy March, Erica Davis, Lady Goldfire.
I'm sorry.
Good evening, council. You know, we need to look at the bigger picture and the vision of the city of Revere Beach. If you all don't think that we're losing our city, we're gonna be pushed right up our city with these big developers telling us what we need in our community. When you have people that's in charge, your leaders, your management, just like the mayor said, it starts from the top. Whether you like a person or not, you have to learn to put the person's fidelity aside. And the word integrity is very strong when you use integrity because it's first start with being honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, who else can you be honest with? And to display that word integrity and try to bash Trogic McCoy, I'd rather for Trogic to throw me 100 tails at me than lie. Because you know why? He gonna say he didn't do it. But the only reason why we know about this E. coli, you can say it or not, or don't like Trogic, is because of Trogic. I sat here at this meeting, and it was so disruptive between two young leaders, young black men, and I had to use the race card. It was devastating because I have so much respect. Even though I didn't support Trogic when he ran against Lynn, I was supporting Lynn. But you have to give a person the benefit of the doubt. And you have to be able to agree and disagree. Even with Mr. Lawson, had much respect for Mr. Lawson. He can tell you that. But right now, it's a distance. When I have to have my peace and I lose trust in you as a leader because you have not been trustworthy or you have not stepped up to the plate, I knew about the altercation before it hit the news. Because if you go back to my social media page, I stated, a real man ain't gonna let you take their manhood. And the reason why I said that, because when I got the phone call, the night the altercation went on back there, it was solely because Trogic was trying to tell us about the E. coli. And Doug tried to stop him from talking. And I'm so glad you both was able to squash that situation, even after the sheriff department looked into it and saw you was this much aggressive than this man here was. Trogic, thank you for letting us know. Thank you for knowing the charter. Even if you're wrong, you would admit when you're wrong. I have a very nasty disposition, but it just don't come out. You got to bring it out, and when it's out, it's out. But I'm so glad I've been changed over 30 years ago because I wouldn't be standing right here now today. I just want a leader that's going to be honest and transparent. No, we're not perfect, but we have to be held accountable. Mr. Evans not Messiah. Y'all do what y'all need to do with this man, and the only word I see is termination. Because y'all sat there and y'all cross-examined all them people there. You yet cross-examined Sherman. You yet cross-examined Deidre, who don't have no engineering license. You yet cross-examined him. He needs to be fired.
Thank you for your comments.
Erica Davis, Lady Goldwire, and Doretta Paul.
Erica Davis, Riviera Beach. Everybody needs to be fired in that case. Everybody on the damn board needs to be fired. Because what initiatives has the mayor or District 1 ever created? I don't even see them at events. Only person I really see at events is Doug. He's always working. And with the behavior of Trogic and his attitude, I don't give a damn how many policies he read. It doesn't matter. What have you done in the neighborhood? Not one damn thing. And Mayor, you have Doug always showing up to your events. You come when you feel like it and want to start trouble or whatever. But what have you initiated that has had an impact? All of you have been liabilities. You sat up here and held a marina project, the biggest project in our city that would bring us revenue for 6 years. That's a liability. You did delay the water project, whether you want to believe it or not. Yeah, they had a little technicality, but it could have been addressed at that time, and you could have moved on, got the bond, and built the water plant. It could have been done, and I'm going to stick to that because it's business. You get too personal, you're narcissistic, and it's always about you, and you're disrespectful to all the administration, and I don't blame the lady for bringing it up to you tonight about the situation of paying the security or getting new security. Hell, damn if they do and damn if they don't. You're going to criticize them no matter what. You are intimidating the employees to the point where they feel like they gotta see this, they gotta cover their butts. And you guys, when it comes to procurement, just like you gave the alphas the property over there, what, 10 plots, and they don't have any money and they're still sitting there, and you change codes and policies to do that when the attorney told you it was wrong. Now don't get me to talking and preaching up here, because you ain't perfect. You should have been excused for that. And don't blame Jonathan. Jonathan don't tell me anything. I do my own research and I watch you, and I'm at these meetings. So he don't tell me anything, and he don't come and do, and I do things on my own. I don't need nobody to tell me anything. But you need to be fired. Coming doing donuts in my father-in-law's parking lot, getting up in people's faces, insulting them. That is not good. So don't sit up here talking about what somebody else and pointing your fingers at anybody else. Always hold yourself. Look in the mirror again and hold your own self accountable.
Thank you for your comments.
Lady Goldwire and Doretta Paul. Here we go, Andrea.
I'm fighting with my skirt, y'all. I'm sorry. I got up, that took me off track. Let me say this. I don't agree with most of the men here a lot of times, but I understand that the job that you guys have to do is difficult. I see Doug, and I see Doug everywhere, and he does what he can when he can. We don't see eye to eye, but that's another conversation for another day. I do respect you enough to give you a heads up and to say, listen, I've got an issue with this, got an issue with that. How we work it out, we work it out. Trodrick, let me tell you what I do know about you. I suffer from the same set of deliveries. But what I do know is this is a gentleman. He doesn't know I know this. This is somebody who saw a young man walking down the street one day, obvious disabilities. Parents had gone astray. I don't know what went left. Picked up the child, although the child was not where he was supposed to be, took the child to school, concerned, sat, made sure everything was okay. And at the end of the day, that was an issue. He could have gone on about his business, could have had a situation where he could have been accused of all sorts of things, but because he saw that the child was in a space where he needed some direction, he did something different. In terms of the mayor, we would have not been in a position where we had independent investigations to tell us just how bad this is. Had it not been for his investigation, we would have had a situation where we would have had to rely solely on their version of the story, which meant there was one incident. You have an entire community that's divided, but you have almost all of us in agreement that the water is worse than what we thought, and that takes courage. I know that it's very, very strategic as to when you're going to terminate the city manager, because you all know it's inevitable. But you can't worry about getting reelected when you don't do what you need to do while elected. Every single day that you wait, you give people opportunities to strategize and hold up and have a meeting here, have a meeting there. And the only people that are at a disadvantage are the people who have the extenuating water bills and going back and forth to the hospital. You guys have to operate from a space that you are governing and you've been entrusted with the people that elected you. Whether y'all get along or not, you can't get caught up in what we're saying. It's just an application of common sense. We can't even have conversations about integrity because I'm sitting up here now reading a 200-page public record from Miss Lanier and from the county. Y'all get your hands on that.
Thank you for your comments.
That's horrible.
The last speaker is Doretta Paul.
Ms. Pope?
Andrea.
Ms. Pope? Ms. Pope?
Good evening. My name is Doretta Park. I'm a citizen of Riviera Beach. And I just want to say that, Mr. McCoy, you know, I've talked to you and I've talked on right here concerning your conduct. Now, how you speak to the procurator and HR director, and most of all, how you spoke to Mrs. Anita Jenkins. That was horrifying. I was at home listening to that. Yes, it's a democracy. You can say what you have to say and whatever. But you have to have restraint. And you have to have dignity when you come out your mouth with things that are so devastating to other people and how other people will feel about this. And as far as you turned around and said, blame Mr. Evans, I blame you, Mr. Evans, for her coming up there. No. Just like we can't control what you say out of your mouth, you can't control anyone that comes out here and say, and then go and blame it on Mr. Evans. That was totally wrong, Councilman Sergeant McCoy. That was wrong. You got to be mindful. You got to be considerate. You got to have kindness in your heart. And that's what, is missing on this diocese. Another thing, when young lady brought up the situation, altercation between you and Mr. Lawson, when I saw it, basically, you were after him, and you pointed and attacked him. That's how that was. And he just retaliated. Anybody's going to retaliate and try to defend themselves. So we got to stop this. All of this, we got to stop this, Sergeant. Because you can end up, like I've told you before, with a massive heart attack. Now you stop this, because it's so unnecessary. You are a bright, intelligent young man, but there's a side of your temperament that can be so destructive. Everybody has feelings. Everybody. And as far as I want to talk about the CRA, the meeting, and about how the CRA attorney said that there was fraud. Someone committed fraud, one of these developers. And I just want Channel 5, I'm glad Ethan Stein is still here. He said, he reported, the Marina Villa project is
Thank you for
on
your comments, Ms.
hold
Pope.
because a developer gave
Ms.
the
Pope,
city
thank you for your comments.
fraudulent
Ms.
letter.
Pope,
And
please stop reading your
that's
letter,
wrong.
and
That's
thank you for your
wrong.
comments. We
And
gave
you
you your
two
time.
voted on that. That's wrong.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Ms. Pope, thank you. Mr. Evans, do you want to comment on the public?
Mr. Chair, the individual that spoke concerning the food trucks, I'll have Director Sermons reach out to them and talk to them concerning the code. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Council on the board? 11A?
Item 11A, resolution number 154-24, a resolution of the city of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, establishing residential and tenant employee rates associated with the parking ordinance 4250 and providing for an effective date. Mr. Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of cards is closed.
Before we make a motion on this item, can we take a motion to extend the meeting? I'm not sure how long this will take. We have a motion on the table to extend. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, is that going to be until the end of the agenda, board? Board members, time limited?
We can go to the end of the agenda. To the end of the agenda.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier? Chair Pro Tem McCoy,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes, and I
Councilperson,
can't hear Ms. Lanier, so if I can't hear, I know the public can't hear.
I just said that we would extend it to the end of the agenda.
Okay, yes.
Councilperson Spiritus,
Yes.
Chairperson Lawson,
Yes.
unanimous vote.
Thank you. Motion to adopt resolution?
So moved for discussion purposes.
Second.
Motion made and properly second for resolution 154-24. Mr. Evans?
Mr. Chair and members of the board, I've asked for the CFO, Mr. Randy Sherman, to put together a presentation briefly with regards to some options concerning parking. One of the things we do want to get clarity from the board is how you wish to proceed forward concerning parking for residents, parking for employees of commercial outfits that would be utilizing those spaces. And so we would like to get some clarity with regards to that. So Mr. Sherman has had a conversation with our parking consultant to get some ideas as to what other municipalities are doing and if they provide for any alternative rate structure concerning parking. So, Mr. Sherman?
Good evening again, Randy Sherman. Yes, Ordinance 4250, which is your parking ordinance that you adopted back in April, does provide for residential parking passes and discounted parking rates for employees of the tenants in the areas surrounding the parking. Talking to the parking consultant, the recommendation that we have brought forward is 2 separate residential parking passes. We do have a considerable number of seasonal residents, so we are recommending a 6-month parking pass for $75 a year, or for the 6 months, and a 12-month residential parking pass at $135. As to the tenant employee discounts, we do recognize that they are service industry employees, and the recommendation is reducing the hourly rates by 50% for those individuals. Again, I would point out that the ordinance does require these rates to be adopted by resolution, but these are staff's recommendations, but we're certainly open to any other suggestions by the council.
Comments from the board?
Mr. Chair?
You recognize.
Mr. Chairman, have you looked into the people that are going to be using the restaurants, for example, getting a discount? Someone who's going to a restaurant and eating dinner shouldn't have to pay the full fee, obviously.
So when Ms. Maxfield was here, she did, or we did have that conversation. She was going to reach out to, for example, the restaurants over at the Ocean Mall. I don't believe that ever happened. But as far as providing validation for parking, we certainly can accommodate that. But I think that's going to end up being really a decision of the individual restaurants.
But I think the restaurant should get some sort of discount to validate those people that are coming in there to spend money in their restaurant. Otherwise, they're going to go to a restaurant. They'll go to Duffy's instead of going to Johnny Longboat's. It's just a matter of money. So I think we should look into that. I also think we should look into a senior citizen discount as well.
Additional comments?
Yes,
You recognize.
Commissioner Spiritus, why do you think we should look into a senior citizen discount?
There are many senior citizens that are on fixed incomes that they're on Social Security or whatever. They're making a choice whether they're having dinner or whether they're buying medicine. They would like to go to the beach and enjoy the beach for the day. If they're not going to be able to afford the park. Let's not give them a choice whether they're going to eat, take medicine, or go to the beach. I think we should make it affordable for the senior citizens on fixed incomes.
Chair, can you please, because I mean, it's very difficult to hear.
Residents, again. Thank you, residents. You're
Okay.
recognized.
So thank you. And Commissioner Spiritus, I would not disagree, but I think we've had this conversation, and I want to bring this up because I just experienced this last week. Mr. Evans and Mr. Sherman, do you, Ms. Wynn, and I know you're listening, are we aware there's something in this city, or I'm sorry, in the country called age discrimination, correct? You can't do something that benefits a specific age group that another age group can enjoy. And I was reminded when a person who wanted utility assistance help, but they did not meet that age criteria, but they were low income already. And we had a program, which I think we set forth in the utility district budgeted allowance for people to take advantage of it. But you can't create a program that favors someone because they're a senior and then somebody who's similarly situated but just is not in that age category becomes discrimination. And I experienced this firsthand when I noticed someone who was denied because they were, I'm not going to say they were denied, but they were not eligible because the criteria you have listed on the application says you have to be a specific age. Did that not occur to anyone that that could be in itself reverse discrimination if you're giving preference to one age group and considering the monumental Supreme Court case that struck down affirmative action saying you cannot give a special benefit to a special class of people that's not enjoyed by everybody else? And I would certainly love to do it, but I think you're teetering along the lines of doing something that could be ruled as discriminatory, or in some cases, for somebody who's uniquely situated but is not a senior, reverse discrimination. I know it's a lot to think about, Mr. Sherman.
No, Mr. Chair, if I may. Yeah, that's gonna require, a legal review on that, but our utility assistance program, you're right, does have an age requirement. We also provide it for disabled individuals and veterans as well, but there is an age requirement for the seniors. So we can certainly take a look into that to see how others have adjusted for that.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Evans?
we also adopted a senior exemption for property taxes as well.
Yeah.
So there's mechanisms that are provided for, but to the council person's point, I think one of the challenges that we have with regards to this parcel or these parcels is there is federal funds that have been utilized for some of these projects. And so there is some, if there is a deviation in price, and if it's too large, then you run the risk of being in violation of some of the grant provisions. And so I know that's something that when we first had the conversation with the board, that's why we offered the opportunity for the first 2 hours free. Because if somebody was going to come to the beach, they've got the first 2 hours, or if they were to come eat a sandwich, they can conceivably have lunch and dinner on that particular, under that particular, and then everyone would pay if they had any additional time over that. And that's how we try to mitigate the situation with the restaurants, so they didn't have to buy the validations and have to go through stamping or a coin or what have you. So that was some of the earlier conversations we had with regards to parking.
Mr. Chair. Okay, so I was going to say what the city manager said with discounts on property taxes. That's done throughout the country. We have HUD-funded senior housing throughout the country. This exists in many, many areas. We even have discounts on senior housing, gated communities throughout the state of Florida. I think that we have to look into this in greater detail. Clearly, we don't want to break the law. With respect to the federal funds, I was the city manager in the community that went to the Supreme Court where the decision was made with federal funds. Basically, what the law states is that you cannot discriminate between outsiders and residents substantially in the difference, but that's on a general basis. You are allowed to give discounts to seniors, handicap, etc., within the community. That's really not looked at under the law when the Supreme Court made their decision.
Additional comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, just to seek some clarity and some direction to the board, because we would like to come back with a potential award of a contract as well as the appropriate resolution. And so is it, does the board want to see a discount program for residents, also those that are seniors and the like, but the assumption that everybody pays something, it's just a different rate as to what persons pay? And is there a percentage or threshold that the board wants to effectively try for us to accomplish? Because what we don't want is to bring something in and you all don't like the program that we put forth. So the more clarity and parameters the board can set, the better the end product is that we can bring to you for consideration at your next regular meeting.
Mr. Chair. Well, I think it would be a good idea, Mr. Evans, if you showed us what some other communities are doing that have this similar situation and give us some comparisons.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize Miller Anderson?
I was actually thinking about that conversation that we'd had about having the first 2 hours free. Are we getting away from that? Because, I mean, that would cover everyone if they were coming there. So is that not appropriate, or does that not solve the concern for people going to the restaurants, senior citizens wanting to come to the beach?
So
What else are we looking for?
Go away with that?
if I may, yeah, so in April, we presented 2 options. One had the first 2 hours free. The second option did not. At that time, the council chose to go with the second option, which did not provide the first 2 hours free. If that's where you certainly want to go there, that may be the best option. Again, we can bring back and amend the rates that were approved back in April.
So tonight is the resolution to accept the firm, and then you're going to be coming back with the rates before us. And at that time, you'll be able to address all of these concerns, correct?
Yeah, if we get these adopted, then I think what we'll do is we can come back, we can look at the senior rate. And again, if we want to revisit the first 2 hour rate, we can again bring that back as well.
Mr. Chair?
You recognize?
Right. When the board, if I remember this correctly, when we approved this last time, we were expected to come back with these proposals on the discounts for the items that we discussed tonight. And I'm glad we finally got to the point where we're having this discussion and we're getting close to finalizing this. We also discussed the 2 hours previously, and we said that 2 hours isn't enough, especially a family going to the beach for the day. They're usually there the full day, much more than 2 hours. And to charge someone $30, obviously, to go to the beach for the day is unconscionable for a poor family when they have to buy hot dogs for their kids and, take them down to the beach. It could be a very expensive day. So we're trying to, we don't want to discourage the community from using the beach. We want to encourage the people to use the facilities here. So I just think that we have to make it affordable. And I think that's the goal that I have, and I believe probably everybody in the city has.
Are you going to be bringing back a voucher program options and programs for residents as well?
Mr. Chair?
You're recognized.
Our intent is we just wanted to give you all an opportunity to provide any additional clarity before we craft what the program would look like. And then understand that there's probably some modifications that would have to occur, but I'm assuming that the technology that the potential vendor has, any of the vendors, can be incorporated in there. So, but yes, this was to get clarity from the board.
So I wasn't supportive of the first 2 hours free at the last meeting. I know we spoke about that. I think that I was more supportive of some type of discount or program for residents, but because there's so many tourists that are coming to visit the beach, I didn't want to give the first 2 hours free. There's no other locations that are giving that free throughout up and down Palm Beach County. But we do want to accommodate our residents, and I will definitely be amenable to their concerns. If we can work out also a program with the restaurants and the restaurateurs to do some type of program to assist with the people visiting there, I think that would help as well. But I wanted to start charging from the very beginning, and then if we want to give some type of abatements or some type of discounted card to our residents, we can do that. Additional comments?
Mr. Chair,
You recognize.
I would just want to advise the city that based on the Supreme Court ruling, if you're going to give the discounts to the community, you have to give a discount to the outer towners that are coming as well, but it can be more money. It just can't be substantially more. So if you offer a monthly discount ticket, let's say for $50, you can make that $100 for out of towners, but you have to offer them that ability for the 6-month pass as well.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier? Chair Pro Tem McCoy?
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus?
Yes,
Chair-
subject to getting additional information to amend this. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Discussion, deliberation, City Manager?
Nothing, Mr. Chair, just wishing people a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thank you. City Attorney?
Only that I did not hear the vote. I don't know if Ms. Miller Anderson heard it, but some of the mics were out. Ms. Hall, can you tell me what the vote was on the parking rates?
I didn't hear it either.
It was a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
You're
No other comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Discussion by the board, starting with Board Member McCoy.
Mr. Evans, I think what I heard Councilmember Miller, Spiritus mentioned was actually something that was brought to my attention. So I know we don't have Barracuda Bay open now, but I do know for certain that we've charged different rates for residents compared to outside the city residents. And I'm told that's not proper because the money's to help construct Barracuda Bay, and the grant provided that all residents of the county had to have equal access and accessibility through whatever the fee was, and it had to be uniform. Are you familiar with that?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
I'd have to do research on that one, Councilperson. I'm not specifically sure to that, but most likely when the county does provide that type of fiscal resources, it's with the condition that you have to charge everybody the same.
And I've seen folks without an ID and they were forced to pay the out of city resident rate. So I think that's going to be true for any, not just accessing it, but if I think we're offering swimming lessons or anything like that, I think that's certainly worth looking into, and that would have been encompassed in that original agreement with Palm Beach County that helped fund that. So that was something that was brought to my attention.
No comments? Thank you. Mayor?
No comments.
Dr. Spiritus?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like in the future for the board to be looking into a possible moratorium and a review of the comprehensive plan for the PUD development on Singer Island. And I would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a healthy, happy Thanksgiving as well.
Councilwoman Lanier?
Yes, we are having the second of our series tomorrow night here at the marina about our water. So questions will be answered. If you want to have a discussion about the water, tomorrow night is the second of our series, and the theme tomorrow night is compliance. Second of all, if we're going to have a special meeting for the OIG report, there needs to be a special meeting for the mayor's report. That report has got a lot of people in upheaval about what was said in that report. And I think it needs to be aired out publicly, that everybody that had something to say in the report to take their statements and to have those statements reflect on other people like their supervisors. I think that everybody needs a forum to vent what is happening, what they say is happening at the city. I do not discount what the employees said in that report, but I think that the public has the right to know what's in that report and a presentation from the person who investigated. That will give the airing out of whatever is happening with that report. The people who have testified or made statements in that report have a right to be able to defend themselves as well as the people who are being accused. So tomorrow night is the water meeting, and I'd also like to have a public um, special meeting for the mayor's report as well.
Thank you. And my comments, I do want to address Councilman McCoy. I'm gonna look at you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, did you forget me or
I
am I
didn't.
coming after you?
I didn't.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So I'm gonna look at you, Councilman McCoy. And I'm going to address that we sit here on a daily basis and we get attacked by the board, by the community. And the concerns is you spent 30 minutes belaboring, bashing, belittling Mr. Evans for not taking accountability for the sentiments of a resident that addressed a report that was done 3 years ago. Yet the concern I have is that tonight's meeting, prior to this, I didn't get to address at the last meeting, you brought up January 24th. And these residents for months have constantly brought up January 24th, when you know my intent and my discussion was not to cut you off. It was to have a discussion with the attorney and the city attorney. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, you are accurate on what you say. But that was not the sentiments. But the fact that you brought that up and tried to belittle or belabor the point that I did something wrong, where your private apologies do not offset your public disrespect for me. So as your colleague on this dais, I'm going to request that we continue to have a sense of decorum and respect, because if you're going to belittle our city manager for not addressing the public, you have not one time in these 6 months addressed any of this public for continuing to bring up a situation that we've privately discussed, nor have you publicly addressed. So if we're going to continue to go on that sentiments, stand on what you say. Ms.
Okay.
Miller Anderson, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I would be more than happy to be the second signature for the special meeting for the mayor's report. I also would like to know, where are we with the other employees giving their side of the story? I don't know if that's for Attorney Nguyen or the mayor.
Attorney Nguyen to the mayor. Attorney Nguyen.
Yes, I'm Mrs. Miller Anderson. My last recollection is that, and Mr. Mayor, you correct me if I'm wrong, we were waiting on dates from you to set up with the investigator and those employees. I believe there were somewhere between 2 and 4 employees.
I think the last meeting, if you have 4 employees, we asked them to get in touch with HR to set those appointments up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, but I believe that we were waiting on dates from you as well. I think HR was waiting on dates from you as well. I'm not sure if Mr. Coste is still there. And if she recalls where we are at this point.
Good evening, through the chair.
Recognized.
Yes, Mayor, I'm waiting for dates from you, and then I can reach out to the employees and then work with Ms. Nguyen for the investigator.
Chair,
You're recognized.
do you have the dates that the employees, is that dates already set out, or you need me to set the date?
Originally, we sent out dates. This is before we spoke to the investigator. Ms. Nguyen reached out to the investigator. Investigator's waiting for dates from you. So once you provide me the dates, then I'll reach back out to the employees.
Ms. Nguyen, could you send me those dates?
Yes.
Okay.
If those dates have passed, we'll send you
Yes.
new dates.
New dates.
Yes, we'll send you new dates.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You recognize Dr. Spiritus.
So,
I would
HR,
still
this is a
have the floor.
this is a question
I'm
for
still
HR.
I'm
have
sorry.
the floor.
Hold on, Dr. Spiritus. Ms. Miller Anderson, I apologize. Finish your comments.
So I know like maybe 2 or 3 months have passed by with regarding the same question that I just asked tonight. So can we get some kind of update maybe by next Wednesday to say whether or not dates have been sent or just some type of communication? Because I don't want to wait another month and then we have the same explanation that we're waiting on dates, because I think we've said that like 2, 3 months in a row now, and no action has been taken. So if we can get that information by next Wednesday, then I guess we can go from there in terms of the special meeting. Or if Councilwoman Lanier thinks we need to have the meeting before we get the dates, it's her, it's up to her. I don't know what she wants to get the whole story or wants to just do the report first before the others have an opportunity to weigh in. But I would like to know what the update is in terms of the dates and getting with those people by next Wednesday, if at all possible. Thank you.
Yes, I will, Mr. Chair, if I may.
You're recognized.
I'll send out an email tonight to the mayor and to the investigator asking for dates. I'll copy Mr. Coste on that email and we will, coordinate those dates. Again, we're still now, I guess, looking for direction from Ms. Lanier regarding whether, as you asked, Ms. Miller Anderson, whether she wants to wait until those 2 to 4 investigations are complete or whether she wants to proceed sooner than that.
Chair?
You're recognized.
This question's, I guess, for council and maybe the mayor. I know the exempt employees do not get legal representation. Non-exempt employees have the right, I guess, to go to the union and ask for representation when they go before another attorney to make complaints. My question is, would we provide an attorney for one day when these 4 or 5 people come to speak with the mayor's counsel with reference to this issue? Would that be possible? Would that make sense?
I hadn't thought about that, Dr. Spiritus, but my understanding is that at least 1 or 2 of those employees plan to have their own counsel that they may have already retained.
Right, but Chair?
You're recognized.
Okay, but Ms. Nguyen, it's possible that some of these employees don't have the ability to pay for counsel. It might be a good idea to have just an attorney available, at least for that one day, or maybe 2 days, to assist those people when they make their presentation or their statements before the mayor's counsel who's doing the report.
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
I guess I'm not following your request, Dr. Spiritus. Did the other people have an attorney with them? I'm not understanding why do you want it that way this time?
My I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Ms. Nguyen.
If I may. My understanding is that maybe one person, remember all of these people, with the exception of, I believe, Mr. Sherman, were voluntarily came. One person had an attorney, but I don't believe anyone else did. And so, I don't know how we would do that because we haven't done that with the other 32 employees. And I don't know how we would select, how I would select for them if they would be in agreement to that. I don't know how that works.
I don't think that's proper. I don't see doing. Why are we taking on that responsibility? I just don't understand what your request is.
Chair?
You're recognized, Dr. Spiritus.
Because I believe that union members are entitled to go to the union and request counsel when they go before a board like this. And I don't think that the exempt employees have that same option. I'm just trying to give them the same option and make it fair. I'm not saying that they're all going to take advantage of the attorney, but maybe we should make one available. especially since they were the ones that were accused of doing some wrongdoing. We don't want to be putting them in a position where we're going to end up in litigation as a result of not providing them counsel when they made their statements.
Mr. Chair,
Hold on, Ms. Melanson. Mayor?
We just completed an OIG investigation for the water. So what we can do is, those 4 employees that want to give a statement, they can give a statement. It's no different than the OIG. Uh, Employees, they investigated employees, they turned around, gave the employees a opportunity. Mr. Lowe, Mr. Dorr all made a statement. It went in the report. That's all we're doing. They don't need an attorney. It's just them it's the same thing as the OIG has done. They came, they investigated people from utility district. Then those people that were named had an opportunity to make a statement. They make the statement. It's in the report. So what we're going to do is we'll open the doors for those employees, let them make a statement. We'll write it in the summary, and we'll put it back out. It's the same thing. So Dr. Smith, they don't have to have, we'll take their statement, add it into the summary, and put that back out.
Mr. Chair,
Recognize Ms. Melanson.
because those are the ones that have been accused, I would imagine they would want their own attorney. So definitely, I don't see us providing one for them. And I'm sure they probably wouldn't even want us to. That's number one. Number two, Mayor, I'm glad you pointed out the fact how the OIG conducted their investigation. Prior to them publishing their report, they got all sides of the story. And then they published a report. That's not how this investigation was done. And to say that we're now going to do an addendum with the other people's side of the story, the train already left. You can call it back and put some more people on it, but the first one already left. And it is very difficult to now make sure that everybody who got that first report now know to go back and get the second part of the story. That is not realistic, but it's necessary to do. So I do believe this needs to happen, but this should have happened before that report was published. Just like the OIG did. I mean, and that, like I said, I've said numerous times, that is how an investigation is done. You get all sides of the story so that one cannot make up in their mind that this is the facts and this is how it happened when you didn't have the full story from both sides of the argument.
Mr. Chair?
You recognize, Mayor?
So you say we need to do it, we're going to do it. What we didn't do anything illegal. If anybody want to challenge us illegal from this board or for it, wasn't illegal. Now, everybody doesn't do investigations the same way, Ms. Miller Anderson, number one. And so you may have an idea in your head. Every investigation is not the same. But we can close this chapter. And listen, it's still amazing how nobody's being questioned about the departments, or it's just amazing to me that we're still stuck on this these months later, and you still haven't asked the leader of this organization what the hell has happened. It's sickening to sit here and not to question. We're not here every day. Of course, employees not coming to you. I mean, maybe they don't trust you to come to you, right? We laid out a timeline, but nobody, and again, really on this board has said, Ms. Evans, what happened? Investigate, find out what happened. See, the next investigation should have been his, but it's all right. You can stay stuck on me, because whatever you feel for different people, it's not going to change what I did, how I feel. But it's just amazing as leaders, people get to escape what's going on. I bet that won't happen with you at the school board. Let something happen at the school board. I bet, they're going to go after whoever it is, and people is going to have to ask the questions. Man, take leadership and stop taking sides and do your freaking job. Like, I sent you a report that says the manager shall investigate. Not one time have I heard you say, Mr. Evans, this is the charter. It says this. So, just do your job too and stop, trying to make it seem like I'm on a witch hunt. It ain't me. I explained, these employees kept coming to me. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. I was pushed to do. And nobody's holding the leader accountable. That's why where we at now. Y'all still stuck on fire stations and that kind of stuff. And the whole organization has issues. Do your job, follow the charter, and he should be questioned why he hasn't called an investigation. But we'll do that. We'll open up the job for those four, and I'm done with it. From now on, after I do that, whatever you guys want to do as a board, you can do. I'm done. I did my job. Thank you.
No further comments?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Doug, you take off.
Ms. Miller Anderson, you're recognized.
It's not my way of doing an investigation. Normal investigations do get all sides. So I'm not asking for anything to be done that is not a normal way of doing an investigation. And I would appreciate that you do your job, Mayor, by staying and being with us when we're trying to do the meetings, instead of picking and choosing when you want to come. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman McCoy?
Sure. Oh, go ahead.
Councilwoman Lanier.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I asked a question about the report because people are still talking about it and still don't have an explanation as to a rebuttal from the people who were talked about in the report. I made this statement before. There were 33 employees that were interviewed for this report. 31 of them had not reported anything to their supervisor or HR. How would a person, Mr. Evans, Ms. Jacobs, the people supervisors, how would they know there was a problem if it was never reported? So a lot of these 31 of the 33, that's over 95% of the people in that report never reported anything to their supervisor, nothing to HR. Those kind of remarks or statements that they made are not being dismissed. It is saying that you have accused individuals in this report of whatever, and you never came to your supervisor, you never came to HR. And that's a process. Now, I'm not saying, and I'll say again, I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying that you have people in that report accusing individuals of things, and the other people who have been accused have not had the opportunity or were not given the opportunity to rebut anything. So, we got the report, and I'm surprised because number one, HR has nothing on this, the supervisors have nothing on this. So, you want to have a fair and balanced report. You want to make sure that you get all sides of the story. That is how you do a report. That is how you say, let me investigate this. The OIG did just that. They asked the people at the water department what happened, and who they accused, they asked that person. So a person has a right, either they're an employee or a city administration, to defend themselves. It's the Fourth Amendment. You have the right to confront your accuser. So if they never went to their supervisor, they never went to HR, how would they know if there was a problem? So this is what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. You have to be able to give a fair and balanced account of what happened. And that is all I'm saying in terms of the public has the right to know this.
Thank you, Ms. Lanier. Mr. Evans, did you address the comments about the young lady with the, I believe it was the food truck? You did address those?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll have code compliance reach out to her, or zoning reach out to her tomorrow.
Okay, and then that policy is a policy that we have that is limits the operations of food trucks from 11 to 7 or whatever the time was.
Sure, I'd have to look exactly at what that is, and I'll get back to her and follow up.
Thank you, sir. Councilman McCoy?
Yes, Mr. Evans. I called you when you were over in Tampa, maybe, oh gosh, was it last month? Whenever we had this first council members meeting regarding water utilities, and I was highly disturbed to find out that something came out in the meeting that the administration nor any board member had ever came out and stated before, So I'm gonna say to you, Mr. Evans, is it your position that you're making staff available to come into a town hall meeting to talk about compliance in the midst of 120 claims? I think that is highly, highly inappropriate, Mr. Evans. And even you said when I spoke to you that you were unaware and that was the first that you had heard of it. I don't want somebody from utility district staff to come in here, not because I don't want it to be put out there publicly, but it should not be a situation where any employee comes into a utility district meeting and says something for the first time publicly that they didn't even share internally, especially in the midst that we have 120 plus claims that have been made against the city. I do not recommend that we allow any staff person to come in and do that because that puts everybody in a compromising situation. And these meetings are recorded. So if there's any negligence on top of the fact that we got a very disturbing report today, I would really encourage the manager not to make staff available because we are already in the midst of litigations. And it has been the practice of this organization not to give any kind of comments on pending litigation and to sit here and talk about anything other than um, what we're doing to increase our services that we provide. I think it's going to be a problem because it went completely left last week. I mean, I'm sorry, last time when an employee said he was telling administration and he was told not to say something. So that to me, this undermines the whole entire process of a chain of command, Mr. Evans.
There's no comments from the board?
I'm asking for a response that is he going to make his employees available for that?
Mr. Chair,
Taylor?
I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow morning with the council person with regards to that, and certainly we will not want to put staff in a compromising position. But I'll be there if the meeting is to move forward tomorrow. But I do have a conversation with the council person.
Thank you. Thank you. No further business, meeting's adjourned.